Hi, my name is Quib, and welcome to I've Read Byzantine. Today's book is The Immortal Emperor, the life and legend of Constantine Palaiologos, the last emperor of the Romans, by Donald M. Nicol. I'm glad to talk about this book today. It's a book I really enjoy, so I hope you do enjoy my review of it. You can easily find the book on Amazon. It's about $30 in Canadian, about $21 in USD. It's a 150 page long book, which I think for the price is pretty common, and I think you're getting your money worth if you buy it, of course. Um, Little precision before we start. The book was written in 1992, but my version of it is the 2002 revised edition. I don't know necessarily what it has, but I know they had pictures, better, I guess, biography, and an index for precision about like what Mr. Nicol is talking about. What's written in the book? The information I would say are old, but not obsolete. I think Mr. Donald takes a good look at every information. He says it in his book that he takes everything that he can find about Constantine XI and talks about it. So even though in the Byzantine history world that we are right now, so the Byzantinist, even though the information goes really fast, it changed fast. Example, you have Anthony Triadelis, he is a guy who like is shaking the foundation of how we understand Byzantium. Example with the book I read about the Byzantine Republic, which is amazing. Um, I think even though it's kind of like old, it's not obsolete. The information he gives us is pretty good. I think it's consistent with the narrative we have today. I would say that maybe today we have more information though. We have a better depiction, a better like understanding of what's happening in the world of Constantine XI since the birth to his death. But I don't think it's irrelevant nor obsolete what you have in the book. I just want to say though, maybe a bit old. So if you start like learning about Constantine XI, don't stop at this book. Further your research. You might find stuff that people are arguing or putting up new information. So I just wanted to mention that because the book is like 35 years old almost, I think. So 33, sorry, 33 years old. So knowledge change, and I would say again, especially in the Byzantine world. So before we start this book, I will kind of like um, do a TLDR with the chapters. There's only 7 chapters, and you can kind of understand what the book is talking about just through the chapter. After that, I'll give more of an opinion piece more than a description because I don't think there's a lot to describe more than it's a biography of whatever information we had back in the days about Constantine. So information like that, it's really easy to just go on YouTube and find some videos that can give you a pretty good insight. I think this book will give you the best insight. You will get the best stuff. Like if you want to go basic, not too expensive, and pretty overall, for me it never differ from what we're mostly talking today. I think it's way better. But if you want just as a description, I think a biography is pretty good. Overall biography, more insightful than a lot of them, but biography. So the chapters, this is how it goes. So chapter 1, Dwindling Empire. Chapter 2, Despot of Mistra. Chapter 3, Emperor of Constantinople. Chapter 4, Death of Constantine. Chapter 5, Fall of Constantinople. Chapter 6, Immortal Emperor. And the last chapter is chapter 7, The Dying Embers. So I think we can. Oh, sorry. I think we can kind of understand globally what's happening in this. It's talking about like the empire at the start, what Constantine comes into. Then it's talking because I think the author mentioned that we don't have too much information about the his like his childhood when he's one is an adolescent. I think we get more information when he started to become an adult and like old in public office and everything. So that's why I think he kind of goes to Despot of Mistra because this is a lot of his accomplishment there, which is like I think in my opinion the most interesting part. Chapter 2 is truly interesting because it's not something everybody knows, right? So after that, you have Emperor of Constantinople. I think it's a fairly understood story, fairly good, fairly well understood story across the board. Then you have like the death and the fall of Constantinople. I kind of put them together, but it's like the death of Constantine and the fall of Constantinople. It kind of goes together as an is just falling. It's the end. Then Immortal Emperor and the last chapter. I think the Immortal Emperor is talking about his legacy as a person, and the Dying Emperor, I think it's talking about his legacy because it's been a while since I read it. I think 2 years. The Dying Embers, I think it's more about like the Byzantine Empire as itself. Like they're still emperors, you know, they're still there. They still manage to influence stuff, even though it was truly the end. Especially with Mistra, example, you can do a connection with Mistra. Mistra was a kind of good influence, maybe not as well known, but in my opinion, a really good influence, especially towards the Renaissance. You know what we call the Renaissance. So yeah, about the book itself, I would say that the writing was good. Truly, it's like a really good mix between narrative and the biography. Like a biography, when you read it, a lot of biography is just like he did that, he did that, he did that. Especially if you read Byzantine book, it's so boring, except like the Alexiad. But if you read, example, the histories about like the Trisiban Empire and who did that, who did what, it's boring as hell. But Donald M. Nicol, and I have this other book about John Sis Contentusinus. He wrote it. I think my next video is gonna be about the Reluctant Empire, the book The Reluctant Empire. He writes really well. I think it's truly interesting to read them. It's not boring. It's just well read and well paced. I think he chooses his what he talks about really well in a good manner. So that's, in my opinion, especially important when you talk about like a person. You want the story to be engaging, and I think the story, even though it's engaging from the start because it's Constantine the 11th, I think he doesn't dry it up with the writing, so that's pretty good. We're getting in the more opinion piece part of the video. This book truly made me see more than meets the eye when you read about the end of stuff, right? Stuff as in like everything. When you read about the Constantine 11 story, you only see decay. You see, oh my god, Constantinople was merely a shadow of what it was at this point. It was more like a trading post for the Venetian and stuff. The Ottomans were wrecking everything, and it's kind of true, right? Everything is kind of true in that. I don't think there's any wrong. What they forgot to mention, though, is yes, the focus of the empire was always Constantinople because it has been for 1,000 years. You know, the thing is, I think at that time, really interestingly, the narrative should like shift to the Morea, and that's why I said that the spot of Morea, chapter 2, is really interesting because it's truly where the empire prosper and thrive, or at least wasn't as bad. I could put it like that, you know. And that's why I say it's really interesting because you wouldn't get this idea from Wikipedia or like some kind of like the Britannica encyclopedia or a basic narrative in a book where it talks about the Byzantine Empire as a passage, you know, like it's like, oh yeah, the Byzantines are there and they have the city, and the Ottoman wants to take the city. So often it's depicted like that, you know. It shifts fast. What's interesting and what's make the book is Mr. Donald talks about everything. So not just what people want to hear, and I think loving to hear about the end of Constantinople bona fide the tragedy of the story of Constantine the 11th, Palaeologus. I think Donald talking about Donald. Sorry, I'm talking of his friend. I think Mr. Donald, when he talks about the entire story of Constantine, it shows like more. I mean, it makes sense, right? It shows. How can I say that? It shows a bigger picture. And after reading the book, you kind of understand that everything has a bigger picture. I think this book did that for me. So that would be my first thing, the first reason, in my opinion, why you should buy the book. Secondly, the story is incredible. The entirety of it, amazing story. It's so interesting, and I think like the Constantinople part is probably the most boring one. Like when he becomes the emperor in 1448, because it's the story everybody knows. It's the Wikipedia story, you know. It's the story that everyone knows. The real interesting part is, well, okay, the Winning Empire. You know, chapter one is yeah, you know, it's but the Despot Mistra, really interesting, and then the legacy of Constantine. Who talks about the legacy? They always talk about this guy who died, and then it was pretty cool. He was probably the last Roman, and I cry every time I see him die. You know, that's that's like basic stuff. But he talks more. He give a better context to the overall of what he does. So the Mistra, the Immortal Emperor, you know, the name of the Immortal Emperor is to talk about how he became immortal. As example, I would say that Napoleon see immortality. Napoleon immortality is a way to never die in history, you know? So like Napoleon is immortal and Constantine XI is immortal, and why? What is his case? What is his effect on like nationalism and stuff like that? And you have the Dying Embers who talks, if I remember well, like the dying embers, as in like the empire is dying, but it's still burning, as a true Roman state does. So that's another reason to buy the book. It talks to you to like not new stuff because it's always been there, but putting like an interest on it is truly like a reason to buy it because it gives you a better understanding. Like I said, a third reason. Well, if you love Constantine XI as I do, and I love Constantine XI, uh, it's a really good reason to buy the book. It's all about him, you know. It's oh sorry, I talked too loud. Uh, it's all about him, you know. It's just good. It shows you the really good stuff he did, that maybe less good, but like shows you a lot of great stuff, you know. So I really love it. Like example, the X Millen. Oh my god! Wait, I need to remember how you pronounce that name. I think I'm gonna get it wrong, but you know, deal with me. Milton Wall. You know, who do you hear about the Milton Wall often in like YouTube videos and stuff? I don't think so. Me, I don't. I don't at least. And I can tell you, I watch a lot of Byzantine stories on YouTube and stuff. So you know, when I talk about YouTube, understand it more as common knowledge or common capacity to reach for knowledge. YouTube is easy, so if you want to hear more, go there. You know. But yeah, do you hear all the time about like Examinton War? Did you know that the emperor freaking retook like the Duchy of Athens as kind of a vassal state? Before the book, I didn't knew that. So yeah, like I said, new stuff. But like Constantine, it's hype to know more about Constantine. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, in my opinion, so great stuff to learn, a bigger picture to understand, and Constantine XI himself. Those are, I think, my three reasons to buy the book. I don't have like bad stuff to say about it. It's truly one of my favorite book. I love reading it. I never regretted reading it. So I cannot really give you default. I'm too biased to do that. So yeah, after this a good 5 minutes at least of chilling, it's time to end the video now. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna do the video about the Reluctant Emperor, which is John 6 Canto to Xenos, which is from the same author, so that's a good follow-up next. So if you're interested in that, if you want, you can subscribe, so you get, I don't think, not necessarily like notified, but at least it'd be in your feeds, so that would be great, I guess. If you like the video, you can like the video. I mean, it makes sense. And if you want to talk about Constantine XI, I'll be glad if you comment. But if you don't talk about books and Byzantine history at large, I will like I will like that a lot, and I will answer you. Don't worry about that. I really love to talk about Byzantium. So yeah, so except than that, I'll see you soon and have a nice day.